I'm looking.
Oh, okay.
Switch devices.
It's 6 o'clock. We'll go ahead and call the meeting to order. The first item will be roll call. Here.
Graves.
Here.
Dale.
Here.
Steve.
Here.
Walker.
Here.
West.
Here. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Everyone take a moment of silence if they like. Motion to approve the agenda. So moved. Second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Let's have a chance to review the previous minutes, but for no additions or corrections, they'll remain as presented. We have no visitors and there was no public comments sent in, so we'll move on to officers' report, chief's report.
All right, my report starts on page 3. We'll start off with station 3. We're still having bi-weekly meetings. We're in design and development as far as the plans go. Taking right along. We're still looking at, we'll probably have some more stuff to bring to you guys, hopefully at the next meeting, fingers crossed. But we did quite a bit of work at this last go around, and we got another meeting this Thursday, which will probably knock a whole lot more out. Year-to-date call volume, we had a total of 867 calls for the month of January. 780 days were here in Pettis County. Regular preventative maintenance has been performed. We did finally get the one unit that was involved in the gear strike back in service, fixed, and it's back on the road now. Volume is, mileage is listed below, and everything's pretty much tracking the way it has been. Still have quite a few with a high amount of miles on them. But the transits have been doing well. We've been putting quite a bit of miles on those running transfers. So monthly conferences have been being completed, and mandatory quarterly training will be completed this month. The heat maps still remain about the same. The red hot spot you see is Bothell Hospital for all our transfers. I mean, that's why that red blob sits right there continuously. Because I mean, it's focused on addresses for calls for service. So that's the one consistent all-time address that we always have calls for service at. So the rest of them, when you see the yellow and the green, those are actually hot spots. They just aren't as hot as Bothell because.
What would it look like if the Bothwell on-site calls were eliminated?
Well, I would love to eliminate those, but
Could we not
I don't have a way to do that.
disaggregate it?
I don't have a way to take them down. I wish I did.
I'd be curious where our actual non-hospital hotspots are. I would assume it'd be on the west side with all of the retiree housing and stuff over there.
I mean, you know, when you're looking at this, yeah, it's not red, but you know, when you have yellow over here on the west side of town, you know, that's going to be a legitimate hotspot. When you got it here in the center, that's a legitimate hotspot. I mean, figure red, and I'll just look real quick. Transfers from Bothell is 158. So I mean, that's 158 calls to that one address.
158 out of that 780 would move the color, wouldn't it?
Move the color a little bit.
Well,
It just depends on where, I don't know.
that'd be a
It'll
little.
probably be a whole lot more red over here in these yellow spots.
Problem is that we don't know where is right. That's the whole point, I think, of that could be done. That's right.
Clayton County heat map is just a kind of a bigger, broader range of what you're seeing there. Henry County, there's not much difference other than our transfers out of Golden Valley are down, so you don't see as much of a shadow down there. Staffing update, there's 3 additional part-time EMTs that have been hired. They're starting orientation in the month of February, and paramedic Melissa Merrill completed her orientation. Unit update, unit 10, which is the remount, it's estimated to be delivered in the next 6 weeks as of this writing, so we're probably about 5 weeks away. Our other unit is ready to go as soon as it gets delivered to go be remounted. So basically we're gonna swap, and that one's gonna go to North Carolina. Call volume is on page 6. It says 867 calls total, 780 for Sedalia, 158 transfers, 434 911 transports, and a total of 186 non-transports. And Windsor had a total of 87 calls, 49 being transports and 38 being non-transports. You guys have any other questions?
If there are no other questions for Roy, we'll move on to the outstanding bills.
Was that the mule that went to Dick's Honda, and was that a $280 oil change, or?
It was a complete service for one, I guess it was a little over 1 year. But,
Yeah.
And I think there was a tire repair probably on that. I'd have to look at the bill. It's been a minute since I've seen it. So I can circle back to that.
I just wondered what all service was required after a year of a new machine, that's all. That was just routine.
Yeah. I don't think there was anything huge that was fixed on it.
Any other questions on the bills? Now they take a motion to approve that payment.
So moved.
Second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Unfinished business, employee handbook, policy updates.
On page 13 is where we'll start. It's the pay administration policy. This just reflects the 3% increase changes that we talked about last meeting that you guys approved. And then the changes in the titles for those policies, for the job descriptions.
I couldn't help, can you explain to me the part-time employees compensation there? Looks like if you start out part-time, you're making more than the full-time when they start out.
Yeah, so you work less hours and you don't pay out any benefits. So it's.
You don't pay the benefits?
No.
Okay, so this is without that. Thank you.
But those are the only things changed here, was just matching the titles up with the job descriptions that we approved last time, and then changing that, increasing by 3%. Page 15 is the paramedic education assistance. It's something that we've done, we just haven't put it into a policy, and it's probably time that we put it into a policy. So this was, several of us took a couple different whacks at it. And so this has not been done before here, so this is something that you guys have questions about, or there's something you don't like in it. I'm open to whatever you want to throw at me.
Any downside to it?
No, not presently. I think we haven't had any graduates yet, but we've got 2 people that are in class. They're doing really well. They're starting their clinicals. And so the upside of it is that once they get their paramedic license, that's 2 more paramedics in our, that's working for us, and they're bound to us by contract.
So is it independent study? How do they, everybody's not off at the same time to attend in-class instruction?
No, and so the way that the program works for like Johnson County is the way that they have different days that they can go. So like the two guys are here, they're on different shifts already, so that helps. But then there's also 2 different days they can go. So if they don't have to, they still have to do some trades in order to make it to class, but it's not as bad as it would be if it was just a set, you have to go, you know, like when I went, it was every Monday, Wednesday, I think, is what I had to do.
And when they do affect a shift trade, that's not a burden for you all to make that.
But it was something that we drafted up and we just never have carried it to you guys, so we wanted to go and get it on the books. Basically just says how we're gonna do this. On page 17, we have the shift trade policy. This is another one that we have not had before, because we do shift trades here. I feel like we ought to put something in writing about how we're going to do that and what the expectations are and how this is going to work. So this is a first draft as well. I did a little bit of proofreading on it before it got sent to you guys, but not a bunch, so be kind. But it's something that we sat down with the union, and we all worked together to put this together so that it works for both parties. So I feel good about it. We'll see how it plays out.
It was probably wise on that paragraph that says PCAD employees shall not work more than 3 consecutive days. It was probably wise to put that last clause in there so that.
Well, and you know, a lot of it is it's the way we've done it, but we've not had anything written down about how we're going to do it. And so that was one thing we wanted to get put in place, is this is how we're going to do it, and stick to it. So, and that was one of the things that we came up with long ago, is that's pretty much the cutoff is right there.
But there very well could be unusual circumstances, and you don't want somebody pulling the book,
Right.
not coming in today.
So for this round, that's all the policies I have. There'll be more to come. We're working through bits at a time. So.
Are there any questions on those policy updates? Yeah.
Motion to approve these changes.
Is there a second? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. New business resolution 2025-01, and the 2024 operating budget.
So the resolutions, page 19 and 20, and then the backup on where those numbers came from and the changes to the budget follow. So in all, we're increasing the budgeted revenue. Oh, here it is. $687,986.79. And as far as expenses go, increasing $272,052.06. Any questions on any of those? The biggest changes were due to the purchase of the equipment. And then we moved in the employee section, we moved retirement down to wages. And that was just due to the difference in the way the labor agreement got signed and agreed upon after the budget. So you'll have a similar this year too.
So overall, given our estimate of revenue and the actual revenue and our estimate of expenses and our actual expenses, when we looked at revenue versus expenses, we were positive on the revenue side. And our expenses relative to our predicted expenses, the percentage was only a couple percent over for the year. Is that
Yeah, I mean, I didn't do percentages, but it's 272 out of 10 million, so yeah.
yeah, that's what I was, that's good.
Were there any other questions on the resolution? Not that technical. Second, all in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. And transfers.
Okay, so page 26, this is just to match what we have in the budget, basically. Moving money to the ambulance vehicle replacement to cover what has been ordered. And I did go ahead and include those remounts that you guys are gonna talk about here shortly. So if that doesn't pass, it'll change slightly, but and then the building fund, and then reducing the general fund to move those funds, and then the equipment replacement fund, that is for what we have budgeted for equipment for next year. And most of that is the payments on the equipment. And I have the budget if you have any questions on what those are.
Any questions on those transfers?
And us moving this transfer isn't gonna have anything to do with this, right?
No, that's just what I need.
Or, I mean, but there wasn't there another one we're just talking about, having more than the FDIC.
That's all part of that.
That,
and Garfield.
okay. Okay, I just don't want to be transferred. I agree on this, I just don't want to be going in and out for moving stuff over to another.
No, well, no, that's just moving between accounts for.
Well, right. Okay.
Yeah.
Take a motion to approve those transfers. So move. Second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Request of disposal for banking services.
So this is the year we go out and get proposals for banking services. So basically, we took what we've had in the past, and what we've used, and that's basically what we're using, changed, some, I had maybe changed some name, contact people, but really that's about it. But, if you guys are in agreement with this, then
When was the last time we did this?
2020, the end of 2020.
Every 5 years?
It's every 4. We started at the beginning of 2021. And that is what was in the resolution for purchasing way back when, I want to say 2014. It's not required, but it's required because of the resolution you guys made it required. And you guys, the board did.
Are there any questions on that proposal?
Do we target specific institutions to receive this, or is it up to them to discover that it's available?
So what we've done in the past is we've advertised it in the paper like we're supposed to, but then we'll send it to the local banks too. If we have a
Got some
contact.
we have some new players in
Mhm.
town.
Yeah, if we have
UTC
some
and
contacts.
stuff like that. I just hope that we make them feel welcome to apply.
Mhm. Yeah.
Take a motion to approve that. So moved. Second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Prayer discussion. John?
Yeah, I don't remember how many years it's been since brought it up the first time. But what I was suggesting is something similar. I wrote down one, give you an idea. It would be like, Heavenly Father, we ask you to put a hedge of protection around the men and women of PCAD. Alert the ambulance drivers to the dangers of the road and give the medical personnel the wisdom they need to treat the citizens in today. In Jesus' name, amen. And the Second Amendment to the Constitution says Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof. And a lot of people have taken that to mean that, you know, government and religion, got to keep them separated. That's really not what the founding fathers were saying. Freedom of religion is part of the free speech, and we have the freedom, the right to pray in public. There's people that have prayed at abortion clinics, at rallies. Congress opens in prayer, our city council opens in prayer. I mean, it just seems like we should be able to do that. And so last time I voted to go ahead and go with the moment of silence because I wanted not to be disunified, but that's been bothering me. In my conscience, I really wanted to vote no, I don't agree with that. So I thought, well, maybe I should bring it to the board again, and this way I can vote my conscience.
I looked at the moment of silence as a compromise,
Yeah.
which it probably was. So, you know, and of course the book says that you're not cold and you're not hot, I'm spitting you out. You want to be lukewarm, so I see no reason you couldn't have some type of standard prayer as opposed to somebody going off on a denominational style offering.
And I was thinking if we had a prayer that we said, and I don't mind saying it, you know, as long as I'm here, but
You could be the board chaplain.
Oh, Lord. Pun intended.
I'm with you, John. I'll vote for you.
Yeah, I'm with it. If we have a standard prayer, that's, you know.
and if that one sounds all right, I mean, I've
Well,
got
I wasn't listening. Can I see that again?
It shouldn't be controversial.
It kind of asks for what you're saying is just for us. I would throw a line in there for the wisdom of the elected officials as well.
Absolutely.
I didn't think there was any hope for that.
Don't ask for too much.
All at once, yeah. No, I like it.
I think it's a wonderful idea, Mr. Mayor.
Short and sweet.
Well, that's,
About time.
I mean, God is everywhere. He's out of time. And I've seen him do miraculous things in people's lives. And I'm sure our drivers, the gentleman that retired, what was his name? Bobby was telling us at our table how he prayed every day before he went out on calls. He had seen God's hand in things. And I just think we're missing out on helping protect the staff. So I would make the most.
It's cheaper than other insurance now.
It's true.
I think it's the right thing to do. I'm good with it.
So I would make a motion that we adopt this after discussion, of course, if other people want to discuss it.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Can I, further discussion? Yeah, sorry. No, not discussion, clarification. Sorry. Good with it. I just want to make sure we clarify. We're saying no more moment of silence, just the prayer, not prayer and moment of silence. Okay, I just wanted to clarify, make sure I know what I'm voting for.
And
That's all.
there's a letter, part of a letter that from the lawyer. I'm assuming this is the same one that was publicized.
Yeah, it was for the last time that.
We didn't pay again.
That's Frank Foster, so.
Yeah.
no,
Yeah, I'm good. I just wanted to make sure that when we motioned, it was clear what we were motioning for. That's all. Sorry.
Is there any further discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. ARV quote.
All right, page 52. And that is just trying to keep up with making sure that we have chassis available and that we don't allow our already delayed deliveries to become delayed orders. And the price continues to rise. So this locks us in for 2 remounts at $406,211.36. So, and it's delivery is still 540 to 720. So. You guys are good with me going ahead and making that order, and then
That locks it in at 203 something each, so.
Yep.
No hidden charges, delivery fees, PSR.
Saved us money in the past to get them online.
Yeah. Is there a motion to approve that?
I would do that.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Special events.
so I'm working on this. I don't really have anything for you guys yet, but and I was hoping that maybe y'all could refresh my memory on, is there a total number we're looking for that we want to cap it out at, or are we just looking to see how much we spent in payroll on like high school events? I mean, these are the ones generally outside of like the air show. These are the events that we don't generally charge for, is the high school football games. Lamont has like the tractor pool that the school puts on. Whiteman, but that was the one, maybe even the one-off. They've never ever asked us to come back again. Who knows? And we went a 10-year gap where they didn't ask us to come at all. So, basically, I want to make sure I'm pulling the right information for you guys. I mean, I went through and looked.
If you were to cost out a typical high school football game, you'll have a number, what it would be had we charged them. And then we could say, how many of these events do we do per year, and multiply that. Now we have a number. And then we could say, as an institution, compared to that number, how much more could we or are we willing to do? And then when they occur, we just take a subtraction from that pool until when somebody comes up with something in October that they want us to do Bob's pumpkin toss, we tell them we've used up all of our pro rata or not gratis time, or we've still got, we still work in this year. Then we know going in what we're putting on the freebie side there. I think it's a good thing to be seen at the high school football field.
Well,
Friday nights, and it's probably important more than once.
It's required.
Yeah. But for us to for us to charge the school district, we're just transferring taxpayer money around there then anyway. And if there's somebody else has something that's worthwhile, if we say, well, here's what it costs us to do a football game, and you're only gonna be about, we can do that. Or, sorry, we're tapped out this year. We can, as a group, we're only gonna put $100,000 into it, or $10,000 into this, or whatever it is. And then we got a way to say yes or no, instead of, we don't like you.
Well, I mean, a part of what we run into is, we have 3 different high schools that we cover for football standbys. Sometimes we call in crews to cover those. Sometimes we don't. Sometimes we can't find crews to cover those. And that's why I'm where I'm running into trying to figure out how much we actually spent. I mean, we can just average it out, you know, of what it would have been and do it that way. And I'm fine with doing it that way. I just kind of wanted to understand. I want to make sure I'm bringing you guys good information when I bring it to you.
And they know if there's a huge pile up at 50 and 65, they're probably gonna have to leave the ball field. I guess that could have, maybe has happened in the past, they've been called away for something, but
Yeah, so I will work on that some more and I'll have something for you guys next week.
but for me to
We're gonna
make up a number, I have no idea if it'd be high or low, but
Right.
you'd have an idea.
Oh, I'm just saying, I mean, we're not gonna deny that anyway, so, I mean, we can maybe take that math out of it and just say, how much are we willing, outside of those activities which we normally cover and have to cover, outside of those specific ones, how much are we willing to?
Those are just mystery dollars going in and out to my mind. We're not collecting, we're not, you know, it's just something we're just gonna.
Do we charge for profit?
Yes. Yeah, so like your rodeos and horse shows and those things that they pay.
I know when I went to the cheese festival in Wisconsin this year, they had a couple ambulance crews on site. They had 20,000 people there in town that day, but yeah, they come out there every year. It's just a big event for them, or every other year. They have it every 2 years.
And there are some instances like the music festival that didn't really end up being a music festival. You know, there's a responsibility on the organization to make sure they didn't actually even request us, but had it actually been an event like they promoted it would be, we would have absolutely needed everything we had out there and probably then some. So, you know, those are the ones you got to take into account too, because nobody actually requested us to come, but I felt we had a duty to make sure that it was covered, because I mean, it is ours to take care of.
Well, if our policy is, yes, we do this and we do this much. And then when we get to the end of it, we can tell them we've done this much, but if we don't have this much threshold.
Did we have one at the balloon festival?
Mhm.
And they're doing that every other year now. So it'll be this coming year. Or in 25, they should have it again. So they didn't have it last year. And we're gonna do it every year, and then we decided to do it every other year.
Yeah, we've covered the balloon festival.
I can see that, something happening on that.
Bob's gonna have this pumpkin toss this year.
The figure as to how much we're gonna spend, because
Yeah.
we really don't know how many football games there'll be, and if they have a district or whatever.
Yeah, and that's good because it's gone several different ways. We've had heavy years and we've had light years, and you know, I think last year was probably a medium light year. You know, it wasn't as heavy as what it's been in the past. But I mean, we can average it and kind of have an idea.
The alternative to not having a way to measure what we've done so far and how much slack we've got left is to take it on a case by case basis. And I'd like for us to be able to put it in your hands. Yeah, just don't go overboard.
Sure. No, and like I said, I just wanted to make sure I brought good information back to you guys. So that's why if you guys are good with it, we can.
It's not a significant expense over the course of the year, is it?
I think it's like 10 or 12 grand or something last time.
Probably. I mean, like I said,
I know.
I want to make sure I bring back accurate information, or at least as accurate as we can get. I mean,
Sure.
I'll probably
Sure.
average that what we could anticipate, and then, you know, how much further over you guys would like to go, we can talk about that too. But yeah, I'll have something for you guys next week.
Move on to the sales tax rate discussion. John, that's the.
Yeah, this is about the, I think, fifth year I've been on the board. And each month, there used to be a graph in here that colored and had each of the years. And I noticed that, you know, it never went down. I mean, it always was up higher than the previous year. And even though we're building a a new station, and I know there's expenses there, but it just seemed to me like we got quite a bit of money there. And then when the city wanted to put a 0.5-cent sales tax on the books, and the mayor vetoed it, and then the council didn't override his veto, so it didn't happen. But I had always been thinking, well, a quarter, you know, what would happen if we lowered it by 1/4 cent, and we have a 0.5 cent? Well, what would it look like if it was 1/8 of a cent? So based on the last 5 years, if I did my numbers right, we would have taken in $69,000 less total on those years.
That can't be right.
No.
That can't be right.
Well,
Last time we rolled it back, how we got behind on the ambulances.
So, I don't have what it was last year, but I think it was around 4 million was 0.5 cent.
yeah, it was 4,053,000.
So it would, if you cut that in half, you're gonna cut it to 2 million.
But it wouldn't be cut in half. Sales tax receipts, 4 million.
Our share of that, at a 0.5 cent, we get 4 million, so at a
Correct.
1/4 cent, we would get 2 million.
Correct. So it would reduce it 2 million.
And 1/8 of a cent.
That would be way down. How much did our revenues exceed expenses this year, dollars? Just,
It's right here, 50 pages back. For the year, the actual difference,
yeah,
it was 2.3, but that included a roll forward from the previous year. So. $1.6, so about 400,000.
400,000, all right. So 400,000 out of, and our sales tax receipts were 4 million. So 4 million, that's 1/10, John. That's 1/10 of our revenue, which would be 1/10 of the half. That'd be 0.05. That's how much more we collected over our expenses. Okay, so if we rolled it back that tiny 0.05, we would have broke even this year on expenses and revenue. Am I doing the math right?
I'm not.
Yeah, that wasn't right. I think, and I'd have to go back and look. The last time it got rolled back,
It was rolled back a 1/4.
it was rolled back to 0.045. And with that decrease, I think it was 6 months it was in place. I think it went down $200,000. So it's all relative to whatever money is spent at the time.
Yeah.
So, but we can estimate it based off of last year.
So with the transfers we did, how much free money, how many days or months?
So what's gonna be left in the general checking before bills is only 3.89 months. If after the $340,000 worth of bills that we pay, it's gonna be down to 3.4 months cash available. So all the rest of that money is spent.
We've usually been running, well, we were, I think I remember before, somewhere around 80 days is where we were. So we're up to 90 some days now.
No, we had been
Yeah, but
further than that.
6 months.
Yeah, I'll pull up some old stuff because I thought we were like 84, 88 days at one time.
And that means we could continue the operation without any.
With
sales
zero
tax.
revenue.
And that's not
we
gonna
can
happen.
continue.
It just concerns me that it just.
Well, I
it's
think
going
you're
up.
gonna see the opposite happen this year, just
Yeah.
because of the building. Because we've been saving year
And I
after year
haven't-
for the building and the
I haven't been on
ambulances.
board with the building project, so.
Yeah, so I mean, there's 2
Well, that's
million.
1.9 million or 2 million that we're gonna go into the building, but that's not figured into that, the balance that we have right now. That's already subtracted out of our only total.
Right, but as far as when you talk about revenues over expenses, this year it's gonna be the opposite. The budget is gonna go in the hole, 2.5 million is what the budget was.
Only because of the 2 million we've taken. All right, then we'll have to add that 2 million to what he's saying. I mean, you can't cut it off this end of the blanket and sew it on.
No, 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 what I'm saying is there's estimated to be $2 million, 2.5 million less at the end of the year than the beginning of the year.
But that's not just the building that's causing that 2
The
million.
most of it is.
All right, well, that wasn't figured into what he's talking about, the 1.7 million or what? I'm sorry, we've got $7 million and we've got, take away some of that for the ambulances we bought.
2
And take
million,
away some of that for the building we
2
bought.
million.
And that's the number he's working with, not, so if you take that 2 million out of the budget also.
No,
then
that's
how-
not, yeah, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying cash balance is gonna decrease $2 million, 2.5 million
From,
from the beginning of the year.
which is, how much
So-
now?
It
Cash
was
balance,
7.1
okay,
less 2.5.
seats.
Yeah, so there'll be 5.2, but of that, 2 million is spent on ambulances.
But
So
you're
that leaves
counting it
3.
in on yet next year's budget too, right?
No. No,
I think I can't get my head right around this.
That's where I am too. and that's
But
why I
let's go
wanted-
back to the,
that's why I
what
wanted
you're
to
saying,
talk about
sales tax, it's generating how much money? $4 million, all right.
Mhm.
And our total budget for the year included all that sales tax money. And we came in this year only 400,000 more than we spent. So if we wanted to eat that 400,000, cancel the tax. No, what we're spending, for us to spend less, or collect less, that's why my egg credits and debits, hell, I don't know.
Somebody get a pen for the whiteboard.
You're the treasurer.
If we went from our current half cent, right, down to 0.4 cents, that would be a 20% reduction in sales tax revenue.
Mhm.
And 20% of the 4 million that we collected would be 800,000 less dollars. And so this year we would have spent 400,000 more than we took in instead of what we did take in.
would have been less, I guess.
Because we took in 400,000 more revenue, including the sales tax. And if we cut 800 out of it, we would have taken in 400,000 less. Now,
Correct.
So we've been in the whole $400,000.
Correct.
well, not in the whole, we would have spent some of our surplus,
Right.
Correct,
okay?
reserves, yes.
Now,
Budget.
And that's what I'm saying for
So-
this year. You're
so
spending
what's,
2.5.
what's the cost? What's the benefit and loss ratio if we were to roll it back to 0.4 for a year, since this is an annual thing, is it not? Would that,
You have to do it from.
and spend some of our surplus if necessary, would that not be a good public relations move? The benefits of that outweigh spending, knowing full well we can restore that in the following year.
We don't really know that we can restore that. next year.
Isn't it just up to us? We're approved to up to 0.5 cent, and we set that taxing level every year. So if we wanted to roll it back to silence some of the critics, and we could get through it, we're in a good position. We've already got a building that's already been paid for. it's set aside. We've got, the remount locked in, we don't pay that yet, do we? We got the transits in, I don't know, because I'm hearing the same thing John is, you got too damn much money.
So
We don't, I mean, we really don't have too much money. I mean, we have enough to hold us over. We have, what was it, 33 days?
we have
After-
3.4 months.
Yeah, so 3 months.
Right,
So-
and if we took 400,000 off of that, we only have 32 days?
And then the savings to the taxpayer, when I totaled it up on the 0.45 rollback, was a gallon of milk. And
I know it's negligible, that's what I'm saying, I think
I mean,
the public relations would be worth something, we've rolled it back.
and then when we have to roll it forward again, I mean, you know, and then every business in town, in our district has to change their tax rates again. I mean, I get what you guys are saying, I do, but
Don't they have to change them anyway? Was there no other tax? No. Not one piece changed, okay.
I mean, and I understand what you're saying, I understand where you're coming from, but it's good for us, and 15 years from now, if we are rolling in the money and we don't have all these different projects, because I mean, we're not done. I mean, we're not done when we finish Station 3. There's going to be the next thing. You know, we're going to have to. We're completely out of office space. We don't have a place for anybody to go if there was to be any expansion at all. I mean, Katie spent her years here sitting in the corner in the front office dealing with all the high traffic and everything else that goes in there. You know, we don't have anywhere to go. There's no more room to expand when it comes to administrative staff, which I hope we don't have to expand anytime soon, but it needs to be on our radar for down the road. And if we start sawing ourselves off at the knees and taking money out of the coffers, it's not going to help us grow at all. And we're not going to have a way to plan for that, because we're not going to have the money to plan for that. And that's what I'm getting at. And like I said, 10 years down the road, and we're at a good spot, and we've got $10 million in the bank, and we don't have a whole long list of ambulances to pay for and a building to pay for and everything else. That's a really good conversation to have then. And maybe it's a good conversation to say, hey, let's roll it back to 1/4 cent. We don't need this money right now. I mean, nobody's got a crystal ball. We don't really know what that looks like from that far ahead. But I think right now we're too young still. I mean, I know we're 10 years old. Well, 12 actually, but you know, we also got past a rough patch, and we've done a heck of a job of repairing after that rough patch, and we're actually moving forward now.
I'll give you another argument why we shouldn't roll it back.
Okay.
911 costs, they're gonna pound us this next time. And we're not gonna be in a position to say no, because I think the way that law is written, they can throw us off the council and just bill us. We'll have to pay it.
Do we have an agreement with them?
We have an agreement.
Yeah, but the way it's written, I think we can be thrown off, and we'll have to, and they just bill us.
How often, how long is that good for, that agreement? Is it indefinite?
It's indefinite. So basically how it works is they come to us when they ask for X amount of dollars. You know, this last year around, I think it was in the 300,000 mark is what they wanted.
Right.
I said, absolutely not. We didn't budget for it because there's no way that would fit into our budget. We didn't have that much surplus in the budget to pay that. There was no way that was going to work. And I don't foresee that ever changing.
We spent more than we budgeted anyway.
And then at the end of the day, regardless of whether we pay or not, they are the PCAD for the county. They have a legal responsibility. Take that 911 call, and they have a legal responsibility to dispatch us on that call, regardless if we pay that bill.
Okay, so I saw something that was out of place, see something, say something, stopped into the police department, walked in, wanted to notify them about a strange bag that's in a place it shouldn't have been, in a high drug deal area. There could be a drug drop. That's different from a dog drop.
Somebody call an ambulance.
And one of the patrolmen, I was talking to the lady through the window there, And one of the patrolmen heard another, and he turned around and walked out and came into the lobby, and I explained it to him. And you know what he told me to do?
Get on the phone.
Pick up that phone and call it in. We can't dispatch unless, we can't send a car out until it goes through dispatch. So I had to pick up that phone, and that puts another mark in the 911 calls. It wasn't an emergency, but they'll say, well, you get enough of those marks, then we're gonna have to raise the cost. They wouldn't even just take a guy walking in's word for something.
Well, if
You
you
had to go through dispatch.
And we, maybe not that extreme, but I mean, our preference is for it to go that way as well for us. I mean, because when that call comes in on, whether you call the 8100 number or you call 911, it doesn't matter, the phone call is recorded. So it takes all that information you give them is all recorded. And I mean, what you were calling for.
If you want to call the chief's secretary to make sure when the citizens board is meeting for the ambulance, whatever, goes through dispatch. It's an emergency call.
Well, I think they fixed that to a point, I think. They made a phone tree where if you want to call the police department, press 7 or whatever that recording says. I haven't actually called the number to know, but like I said, 911 can ask for whatever 911 wants to ask for. And it's up to us. And the statement that was made in this last go around is the taxpayers of the county go to the half-cent sales tax for an ambulance district. And that's what it's for. It's not an ambulance district plus fund 911, Pettis County 911. We're willing to do our part to help, and we have that. But we can't do it to the tune of $300,000 per year. And like I said, it's regardless if we pay that bill or we don't pay that bill, it's their responsibility to take that call.
Do they disaggregate that data into police, fire, county fire, ambulance, and sheriff's department? But we don't pay proportional to the calls.
No, that's the problem with the way that contract is written. And there's been
And that
talk about
contract,
that.
the contract is mainly city and county, which the county would be the sheriff's department and the county fire department volunteers. And the city is police and fire. And that's why I understand we could just be cut off of that, and then they'll just send us a bill for our percentage of calls.
I don't think that's the way that works.
I don't think so.
But, I mean, basically, the way that, in which I don't have the contract in front of me, but I'm gonna paraphrase. Basically, the way it's worded is that they have to come to the 3 entities for their request. If one entity says, nope, this is what we have to offer, then they have to go back, rebudget, and the other 2 entities will pay what that amount is. And then, like in this case, if there's a shortfall, the county, I guess, will have to come up with whatever that.
Well, I know that's how we've done the last few years. I don't know that we're gonna continue to be in the driver's seat, that's all.
Well, I don't know what that looks like moving forward. I mean, I guess we're gonna find out, but I mean, my position is still strong about, I think we're paying as much as we're gonna pay. And I mean, regardless of what our tax revenue is or anything else, I mean, the budget's pretty clear on what money we have and don't have. And, through responsible spending, through, doing the things that we're supposed to do, yeah, we finish the year out with some leftover, which is a good thing, because that's the money that we put aside and we put into reserves, and that's what, Station 3 comes from. That's what maybe someday new headquarters facility comes from. That's where this all gets built at. But in this year's budget, I mean, there wasn't enough left over to have given them what they want. And they can ask for whatever they want. I mean, but it doesn't necessarily mean you have to get.
Well, just know they're gonna be asking again.
Oh, I know
There's no doubt about that.
I don't think that will ever stop unless they change something about their funding source.
So that's another reason not to roll it back.
Or Roy convinced me when he talked about his thinking on it, so I appreciate that, Roy.
I mean, like I said, I know where you're coming from. I understand. I mean, and I understand what you guys hear.
Is anybody else hearing that? I hear it, you hear it. You're hearing it?
One person.
One person? But might be the same person there.
Might be.
You start tracking phone numbers.
Might want to compare it.
See if that went through the joint comm, then you're
Yeah.
The initials of SH.
I mean, if those people, you know, if they're concerned, you know, have them come down and talk to us. I mean, I'm more than happy to have a conversation. We pull the books out, we can show them the numbers, we can show them where the money's going, we can show them all the different things. I mean, there's nothing here that we're not willing to pull it all out and explain how and why. I mean, you know, we don't want this to be a cash cow.
Well, my response has been, we've been proactive in securing top equipment. And we've got another building coming up that we've already put pretty much a limit on what we can afford, and we're being good stewards with your money, but.
Yeah.
If you look at the mileage on these ambulances,
It's not
you're
getting
gonna have to replace them more.
Yeah, it's not getting called. I mean,
Yeah, I think our crews are excellent. I mean, I've seen them in action and, you know, they're top notch, and we couldn't do that without having money to pay them.
and I mean, you know,
So, yeah,
I hope they're not so unreasonable they complain on the way to the hospital.
and if you look back, you know, prior to 2013, prior to PCAD being in existence, the ambulance service you guys have now is top notch. You know, if you look back at what we had previous to this, it was, you know, and those guys that worked there were good people, but they didn't have the money. And so they ran out of used equipment, the stuff that you had to beg, borrow, and steal. They might or may not have had supplies that they needed, but, you know, we were also dealing basically off just patient revenue. And that was all there was to deal with. So, I mean, you know, you had to go to the used cardiac monitor superstore to buy your heart monitors, and you had to go, you know, do the best you could to buy the supplies that you needed. And then everybody made minimum wage, and there was no benefits, and there was nothing. I mean, there was no insurance, no retirement. You were doing good if you had just a little bit of vacation on. There definitely wasn't sick time. So, I mean, you know, what we have now is light years ahead of what we had back then. And it's something this county's needed for a really long time. So.
And that,
I say, when you run in for Congress.
No, but I think if we get Roy on the speakers tour, he could do the Lions Club and Rotary Club and some of that and stop a little of this.
Oh, yeah, I think that's a good idea. It was a good.
and that's part of why we tried to do these transfers to show this is what's set aside for the ambulance. This is what's set aside for the building, and this is what we have to operate at it. We don't have money just
We
sitting
don't have
around.
$7 million to surplus. We do
Right.
not know.
Right.
And it's
And
our job to supply the best ambulance district we can, not the cheapest.
Yeah,
I
and
understand.
I mean, and if you compare what we have in the bank compared to
Says-
other political subdivisions in the area, I don't think it compares. You look at the school district, how much money do they have? How much money does the county have? How much money does the city have? I don't think what we have in the bank here compares to any of that.
No.
You know, it's a small percentage, compared to what each one of those different entities has. I mean, even the parks, you know, we're nowhere close to any of those.
When I was
we've
door
got
knocking
3 months.
last time, I would tell people, if you vote for me, I'll guard your health and your wallet. And they seem to like that idea. And I think we've been really good with what we're doing. So no complaints there. But there's, again, some of these civic organizations might like a chance to hear what we're doing. I mean, just to show them the slide on, like, the mileage on the ambulances and the cost of new ambulances. Ridiculous.
And you know, as far as, you know, ambulances go, we're not the cheapest you can buy, but we're not the most expensive either. We're about middle of the road, you know, and honestly anymore, I don't know that we are even, you know, I think they're also expensive now that I don't even know that they're middle of the road. I think they're just kind of there because.
We figure our cost per call. And you can get that number from other ambulance districts too, can you not? And that'd be a good thing to be able to show them at Rotary Club. Here's where we are across the call. Here it is in St. Francis County. Here it is in McDonald County, the boonies. It'd be a good sell.
Yeah, and another thing to keep in mind, there's only, I think, 2 districts in the state that have less than a half-cent sales tax. And that's because that was what was voted for those districts. So, you know, we're not alone in a half-cent to run a district, so.
Yeah, every time you buy something in another county, you're paying for their medical.
Correct. I live in Benton County, but I'm supporting this district much more than I probably do Benton. And I guess ours would be Colgate, not with Benton.
We appreciate it.
So, I mean, but it works the same way. I mean, all the people coming through, going to wherever they go. I mean, there's 100,000 people come to work every day. And that's what contributes to it. So,
Is there any other discussion on the sales tax rate?
I appreciate the discussion. It helped.
Yeah, it's always good to talk things through. Absolutely.
Now that take a motion, go into closed session. Pursuant of RSMO 610.021, sections 9. Second. All in favor?
Becky?
Yes.